Won't you do it this time, God? I'm waiting to watch to see how you're going to move. And I'm so excited for when you do because it's going to be so cool. Hey everybody, welcome back. Okay, first of all, I know some of you are just listening to this, but behind my screen on my video is blurry. And I don't know why. And I have a small time to record. And I wanted to so badly just sit here and figure out why all of a sudden my background is blurry. And I don't have the time or the capacity to figure it out. And it's not going to bother anybody else, but it's sure going to bother me. And these are the things that happen behind the scenes of anything technical when they're doing solo stuff like I am. I know it doesn't affect most of you, but I try to share that. Also, I was playing around with some ideas on how to kind of start the episode and tie in personal stuff. And my best friend had a really good idea of, we always say to each other, and I'm sure it's a common phrase to if any of us, the update you didn't ask for. So I'm going to try to add in before the episodes, I'm going to add in a little, the update you didn't ask for. And you don't really need, but we're friends here and we're growing in that connection. So today's update that you didn't ask for, I need you to know that I'm an introvert. I know I don't really give introvert vibes since I put a lot of my life out on the internet, but I'm very much an introvert. So I don't really like going out. So I avoid it at all costs. So I have to tell you today, I went to the Boise Co-op. So I live in Idaho. I went to Boise Co-op, which is like a Whole Foods, except on a much smaller level, right? Because it's local. And I was looking there's this one kombucha company that I drink their drinks. And I got an email that said like their holiday, I think it's called a satchel, but that could be very wrong, was out. And there's only limited at the co-op, or you had to go to the farmer's market. And I don't want to go to the farmer's market. That sounds awful for me and my introvertedness. So on my lunch break, my husband and I ran over to the Boise Co-op. We were going to grab hopefully a bottle of this like fancy, it makes me feel like I'm drinking alcohol, but I'm not drinking alcohol. And like I could drink alcohol. I'm not sober, but I don't know, I'm getting old and it makes my joints hurt and all the things. So I just don't. And so I wanted this fancy, like, it feels like it's in a wine bottle and it's tasty and it's yummy and I wanted it. So we go to Boise Co-op and we're trying to get it. And I decided I'm going to be brave. I'm going to ask the employees and I don't want to miss it because I didn't ask somebody or didn't look in the right places. And you guys, this is like exactly why I don't talk to people, because I asked on my fifth employee and I was just asking in like each individual department. I wasn't like being annoying and I was not upset. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing it, but I couldn't find it. And so she was like, well, let me go look in the back and see if we have it. And I was like, cool. And I had showed her the picture from the email and where it said, like, there's just a couple in the co-ops. And so she was like, oh, yeah, just let me go look in the back. And again, I'm happy as could be, fine, chill, no big deal. She comes out with a manager and instantly I'm like, oh, gosh, I'm going to die. And the manager was like, so we don't have any. And I got a hold of the owner and the owner gave me her number to give to you so you can reach out to her. And I just looked at him like mortified, like, wow, this escalated really quickly. I just was curious if you had it or not. We did not need to call the owner. And the whole time, my husband and I are just looking at each other like, this is why I don't go out. This is why, because things always happen. What do you mean we've now called the owner? And we've asked the owner. He's like, do you want her number? And I was like, no, no, absolutely not. I don't want her number. It's truly okay. I will come back when you have them. Like, I am fine. And so then he was like, well, I'll get your number and I can call you when it comes in. Okay, fantastic. That sounds reasonable. I may never come in the store again because now I think everyone's mad at me or thinks that I'm mad at them because how did we resort to calling the owner? I don't know. But just so you guys know, Tommy from Boise Co-op was very kind and he's already called me and told me that they'll be in tomorrow. I'm on the fence of if I'm actually going to go in or not because surely these people must think I'm crazy because how in the world did we escalate to calling the owner? I don't know, but that's my update you didn't need to know. It has nothing to do with anything but just the story of my life. So, hi, welcome back. So glad you're here. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving this week. Thanksgiving, this is coming out on Tuesday. Thanksgiving is just in a couple days. And after Thanksgiving is the holiday season, so just holidays in general can be hard. And I know estrangement can be in all sorts of different seasons and from different perspectives. I hesitated making this episode, if I'm really honest. I kind of wanted to breeze past it because I don't feel like I have a lot of encouragement or guidance to share, but I decided that I'm just going to face that head on and know that maybe you just have a friend who gets what you're going through today, and sometimes that's enough. Today it's just going to be two friends holding space for each other, that holidays can be hard and they can really suck, and I understand what you're going through. Here's some thoughts on how we can kind of brace ourselves for the holidays. The holidays come with a lot of expectation, and where we can get hurt as moms is with those expectations, and are they realistic for what your life looks like right now? And getting stuck on that they aren't. Your life doesn't look like what you expected it to, and the sadness of that. And I just want to say you're allowed to grieve how your life looks differently than you expected. There's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you less of a mom, less human, nothing, less Christian, nothing. It's okay to be sad that things don't look like what you thought they'd look like. And a lot of estrangement is that in itself. I think that it's okay also to give yourself permission that the weeks of holidays like this week, it's not going to be easy. And also that grief doesn't mean you're not grateful for other things. The two things can exist. You can grieve what is lost, what is absent, what you wish was different, and still be grateful. I think a lot of times we follow up like, but at least you have other kids that are coming, or at least you have, they can exist at the same time. So don't rob yourself of grieving because you want to hyper focus on gratitude. You should be grateful. Obviously, that will help this week, but they can exist at the same time too. And remember, you're not superhuman. I know as moms, we like to pretend we are, and that we are in a lot of ways, but also this week, like, it's okay to be human. Sometimes humans are broken, and it's okay to experience that a little bit. Make sure you give yourself the same amount of empathy that you would give a friend. Don't hold yourself to a standard that you wouldn't hold your friend to. I think that's always something that I use to kind of help gauge how kind I'm being to myself. Some ways to practice gratitude, because sometimes it's hard when we're overwhelmed with grief. Some ideas I had was journaling and writing down areas where you are grateful that God has shown up for you, ways that He's held you this year, ways that He's offered small pockets of peace so that you were able to just breathe. Writing down gratitude for the relationships that you have that are healthy, and also reflecting on your own personal growth, how far you've grown, where you've come from, where you're at, evaluating where you're at, really taking account of where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. Also, it's okay if nothing on that gratitude list has anything to do with your estranged child. Like, we're so grateful for them, and they get a lot of our energy in other ways. It's okay if it doesn't come through on that list. It doesn't make you a bad mom. Something I wish I had more insight into is kind of how to navigate triggers from relatives that may ask you about your estranged child. So I kind of pondered and wrote down some ideas of responses that either I've used or come out of the conversation and thought of later, and so I wish I would have used, that I thought I'd just share with you guys. So 2 that I kind of came up with. One is simply saying we're navigating a complicated season right now. And that could be enough. If you wanted to elaborate further, you could say we're navigating a complicated season right now, and today I'm choosing peace. And that maybe kind of closes it down. Or you could even say, like, we're navigating a complicated we're navigating a complicated season right now. And it's not something I'm prepared to talk about. Or it's not something my heart's ready to talk about today. And just being really honest. Because sometimes so many people don't know what to ask, or maybe ask the wrong thing. And we want them to check in on us. But sometimes they need to be guided a little bit on when the right time to talk about it is. So it's okay to tell them that you're not in a place where you want to talk about it right now. And you can also just simply say, the other thing that I wrote down was simply saying, it's not something that I feel like I want to talk about today, or it's not something I want to talk about today, but thank you so much for asking and caring. Just being bold in that, and so they know, but then you're just showing appreciation that they asked, because, you can leave and feel like, gosh, We just ignored the elephant in the room. And sometimes that's positive and sometimes that's not. So, equip yourself with how you might respond so you're prepared, so it doesn't take you off guard. And, if you don't want to talk about it, hold to that, because sometimes it's exhausting just recapping and having to feel like you're defending yourself, which, I'm sure they don't mean it in a way that you need to defend yourself, but there is something about when you talk about it, you just inevitably feel like you have to defend yourself. Before you go into those holiday settings, evaluate how much you want to talk about it. Is it going to drain you to talk about it, or is it going to help you to talk about it? And that can be different for each of you. It's so personal, and it so depends on where you're at in your season, which season of estrangement you're in, where sometimes it's not a big deal to talk about it, and sometimes it's really emotionally draining, and you don't want to talk about it. So kind of do an evaluation for you so you know where that boundary is and where that line is going into those social settings. The other thing, as you're going into the holiday season, if you still have relationship with your estranged child, I know there's different degrees of estrangement, right? Is start praying. I know this is coming out Tuesday before Thanksgiving, but even if we're looking into the Christmas, start praying for peace over your communication with them and your time with them far before your actual time with them, and ask God to release. For me, I get stuck in fix-it mode. So asking for God to help us release that desire to fix, and fixing is not always negative, right? It's our instinct as moms. We have years of wisdom and we want to share that. And sometimes that comes out as fixing, and that's not a negative at all. And I don't want us to stop doing that, but I want us to stop doing it with our kids who don't respect us and don't respect our wisdom. So I say that kind of double-sided. I don't want you to stop doing that because I think that's a wonderful thing of mothers, but also I want us to stop wasting our time doing it with our kids who don't care. But that's just my opinion right now. You got to do what works for you and what the Lord's calling you to. But something I have prayed in the past is just asking the Lord for discernment on what to share, when to share, and how to share it, to take us out of kind of fix-it mode, can be helpful for your own peace. Because it's frustrating when we share great nuggets of advice or great nuggets of things, and to be dismissed and shut down, it's demeaning and it's hard. So sometimes I'm not even saying that for your relationship with your child. I'm saying that for you to protect your peace. That's okay to hold back some, because you have to protect you in certain seasons of estrangement. And again, as always, that's just a thought, that's an idea, that's an opinion. Always take everything to the Lord. He's going to guide you on where you're at in this journey and how He would actually want you to show up for your child in these situations. Also, praying for peace in your time together and not for the outcome. Shifting our focus away from our outcome of what our time together will look like and more about just being present in that time, I think helps us with our expectations, because again, going back to expectations, we can be so disappointed by them. And sometimes it's just an expectations are just natural expectations. I'm not saying that you have built up this whole life that's not achievable. Some of them are natural, like that our child would want to call us back. We expect when our kids get older that we would still talk to them. So feels wrong when we're praying. If you're in a season of estrangement where you're still with your child, praying for peace with your time together and your interaction and in discernment in those times can guard your heart for the outcome. Because I get so twisted up on this, you guys, because I want you to pray for the outcome. I want the outcome to be reconciliation. I was talking with one of the gals in our membership who I'm going to bring on the podcast, and you guys are going to get to meet, and she's amazing. And so we're talking about Joshua Coleman, and we were talking about things that I'm seeing on social media, and it just seems like, are these relationships really recoverable? Can they be salvaged? Is reconciliation really possible? And statistically, it doesn't look great on paper, but then she and I had to remind each other that, we serve a God that miracles happen, and things didn't always look good for Him on paper. So whenever I get discouraged by those statistics, I remember that watch my God do it. Won't He do it? Watch him do it. This summer, when we were laid off from our jobs, we've walked through some pretty big faith moments, and this was a big one as well. And my favorite thing about walking through moments where God's really testing our faith is stepping back and just having the mentality of, go to work, God. Let me see you do it in the way that only you can do it, that only you get credit for, and that freaking blows people out of the water. Like, I just want to watch you move. And I get passionate and excited about it in Estrangement too, because statistically it doesn't look great. And part of me wants to tell you to like hold back, protect your heart. Don't hope too much because hope feels painful. Hence the name of this podcast, Between Hope and Heartbreak, because that's where we live. So I started to tell you, pray for the moment, pray for discernment. Don't pray for the outcome. But actually, I changed my mind. Pray for the outcome. Because won't God do it? And won't it be great when he does? And we can just be like, God did that. God did that. I could get stuck on that all the time because God's done crazy things in my life. And like, I met with somebody this week and like, how did you start? Well, God told me to start. I just started walking through doors feeling like I was going to throw up every step of the way. And God kept opening the doors and saying, okay, go. Okay, go. So maybe that's what we pray for this holiday season, that God would open doors, even if we feel nauseated and broken and sad, that he would just keep opening doors for all of us, and we would just keep walking through the doors saying, okay, God, won't you do it this time? Oh my gosh, I'm getting so emotional. Won't you do it this time, God? I'm waiting to watch to see how you're going to move, and I'm so excited for when you do, because it's going to be so cool. It's going to be so, so cool. And I want to hear every single story when God moves. Maybe it's not through reconciliation. It hasn't been for me so far. But God has moved in such cool ways otherwise that it makes all of this pain worth it, because I wouldn't get to experience the coolness of God without this pain. I'm not saying I wish this pain was happening, but also there's some really cool benefits of walking through really hard stuff with God, because he shows up in really cool ways. And if we can step back and just recognize that for a minute, it shifts our whole perspective. So this podcast is off the rails. We started in one direction and we ended in another, but I mean, that's how it goes when you're, doing things with the Lord. So I honestly don't even know what I said and if it's worthwhile or anything at all. But we're like 20 minutes in, so this is, a doozy. I want to hear how God moves for you this holiday season. More than that also, I want to hear what things you're laying at his feet and you're going to leave there. What things are you holding on to and trying to control that God's asking you to release to him so that he can move? He might need you to let go of it in order for him to move. Maybe that's what you ask yourself this holiday season. What are you trying to control that he needs you to let go of so he can move? Because when he moves, it's really cool, you guys. Let's make space for him to do that. Let's make space for him to move. And just go to town and get all the glory. Because when reconciliation happens, I don't want the glory. I want God to get all the glory. And won't he do it? Won't he do it? It's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. Statistics, they don't have anything on the God that I serve. So let's go. Let's go. Okay, I don't know how to wrap this up because took a whole nother turn. Love you guys. Praying for you. If you have a specific prayer request, please email it to me. hello@nicolecoates.com. Also, as always, I love hearing your guys' feedback and episode ideas, so you can email those as well. You can follow me on Instagram at Hey Girl, it's Nicole, because hey girl, okay? If you knew me in real life, that would probably make more sense, because that's how I talk with my girlfriends. And then also my website, NicoleCoates.com, has resources for you guys. So, okay, won't he do it? We're ready, God, whenever you are. Okay, love y'all.